Hello everyone. Like Matt said, I'm Adam Potter. I'm the Agile Delivery Lead within the promotion squads within gaming, and this is Willie, who is our Product Owner. What we're going to talk about tonight is kind of our journey from the point where we felt like we were sinking as a group of squads to the point where we feel like we're now, where we're kind of at this point where we can springboard off, and what our path to awesomeness kind of looks like. What this talk will cover is some practical things we did along the way, but also look at some of the experiments that we have planned. So yeah, when someone mentions the word experiments, I instantly go back to being that kid in the chemistry class where the glory days when the Bunsen burners get rolled out and you see you see all the chemicals and you just think, I'm just going to blow it up. And you just go, I'm going to try this, I'm going to try that. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't work. And for me, that's kind of how I see the role as an Agile Delivery Lead. We've got these teams. We're in such a fortunate position whereby we can try something. And if it works, it really works. And if it doesn't work, we learn something from it. So yeah, that's kind of that's our approach to delivery within the promotions teams. So yeah, let's crack on. Enough of the science and let's get going.
Right, so I'm going to introduce and set the scene of what we're talking about. So both Adam and I have been in Skybet for just over a year now. We started literally 1 week after each other. And this was the landscape 12 months ago. I was in next generation promotions and Adam was in gaming promotions. And we literally, the squads were next to each other. I could see Adam could see me. The problem was that the team that I was in actually belonged to the Data Tribe at that time. And gaming promotions belonged to Gaming Tribe. We both work very similar stuff. So then, obviously, for obvious reasons, because we were working together so closely, Next Gen Promotions was reborn into the Gaming Tribe. I'm a bit closer now to Adam. I can see him. And then there were lots of problems at this point. So I was the product owner in NGP. I was sort of the BA as well. There wasn't an ADL, Agile Delivery Lead. Adam, on the other hand, was set across both teams there. He didn't have a full-time PO. He didn't really have a full-time BA. So I could see him there. I was longing for what he had. He was longing for what I had. So eventually, where we are today, we formed a better unison between the teams. Promotions platform and Next Gen Promotions are working in unison now. So both of us are across all three teams. And we've got a full suite of roles in there. We've got a PO, we've got an Agile Delivery Lead, we've got 2 BAs, we've got engineering manager, 3 principal engineers, we've got everything. So imagine there's a lot of change that happened between 12 months ago and today. And so we're going to get on to the 7 things that we learned in that 12 months and hopefully share some of the experiences with you guys. First one. This picture is about identity. So the best way to look at it is, I'm sure everyone would have worked with someone in the office of these 3 types of personality. Person number 1 comes into your office, 9 o'clock clocks in, 5 o'clock, I'm out. Doesn't really care about doing a great job, he just does enough. He gets a salary, perfect, that's person number 1. Anyone not worked with anyone like that before? Good. Person number 2, he comes in every day, he tackles it, he's go-getter. You rely on him really well, and he delivers on time, but it's not really that passionate about what's tomorrow coming, what's my next step in my career. He's just reliable. Person number 3 is the one that we all hate, right? The super ambitious one. The one who's going to progress to the next CEO, the one who, after work at 6 o'clock, decides, you know what, I'm going to go to Tech Talk, better myself. I don't know. You work with people like that, and identity is a very similar thing, similar concept in squads. One of the first things we did was we did the cereal box challenge. We got all the teams together. We asked them, everyone draw out the vision. Now, I've been in workshops before, and that's really fluffy stuff. And I never really got the value until much later that actually vision is not so much about the vision itself, but actually giving people a real sense of purpose. That person number 3 that says, you know what, I've got something to aim for. Slide number 2. So this is a prototype I'm working on. Hopefully it's going to start up idea very soon. I'm working on a product management navigation where you plonk in the product, You click go, and it tells you how to do it. Simple. This is going to make life so easy, but unfortunately, it doesn't, right? So this is about clear direction, and when people talk about clear direction, sometimes they perceive it as having a fixed roadmap for 12 months. But in my view, a clear direction is not necessarily about having a fixed roadmap. It's about knowing where the roadblocks are, and what sat-navs are very good at is actually communicating to you, hey, there's going to be a roadblock in about 5 minutes' time. Take this turn. But what it does tell you is give you that reassurance that actually, regardless of all these different turns that you're making, you're actually heading towards the right direction. And the important thing in here is to make sure that you're bringing your passengers along, which is a team, your stakeholders, make sure that everyone is on board and no one's left behind.
The third thing that we focused on, so yeah, have you ever been in a situation where product literally want all of the things, like where they simply can't prioritize? Everything is considered a must. Concept of MVP, just don't even bother. We had a lot of this. What this resulted in was really submissive teams, teams that couldn't simply say no. They didn't know how. Saying no was seen as a failure somewhat for the teams. Mr. Product would wander over, so you can't do all of these super urgent, super high priority, super valuable things all at the same time, and you call yourself agile. Not good enough. So a common way that we used to solve this was streams, this amazing concept, where we said, let's cut the team in half, and we'll satisfy both of these super important requirements. What the reality meant was that the teams very quickly lost their purpose. They never could really see further than the immediate ticket that they were tackling and trying to battle through that board. The practicalities also weren't great. It was like spaghetti junction with dependencies all over the shop. Tickets were just dwelling at certain points. And when someone was off ill, just stop the show pretty much. Leveraging the work that we did to give the squads an identity and a sense of direction and purpose, we vowed that we'd never take on more than one thing for each individual squad again. What this ultimately allowed us to do was have focus. One thing to worry about, one thing to get our heads around, one problem to conceptualize in your head and play around with, and ultimately one problem to solve. As a support team for kind of these promotion squads as well, what this also allowed us to do was worry less about managing demand and all of these external stakeholders wanting all of these things, and it actually allowed us to focus on the squads themselves and optimize them. That was one massive thing that we learned, was give the squads focus. Okay, so culture. It's safe to say that the promotion squads have fun. Team camaraderie is huge. It's something that we work on. And for me, if you're kind of not having fun at work, well, what's the point? However, it kind of wasn't all plain sailing to get to this point. As Willie alluded to at the start, we had two squads who sat next to each other for the best part of the year, worked very much in the same domain. God, they both had promotions in their name. It was next-gen promotions and gaming promotions. They never spoke to each other for a year. It's safe to say NGP had their own way of doing things. Stuff got done, magically got done, but no one really knew how stuff got done. All we really knew was NGP had sampled the taste of delivery. They got the bug of delivery. They really liked that. At the same time as sampling the taste of delivery, they sampled every single beer in every single bar in Leeds. The GPS team, on the other hand, was very timid. They were a very close-knit group. They strive for technical excellence. However, it still felt like they were trying to find their personality within the gaming tribe at the time. We had to get these two teams talking to each other, who had two very different personalities. To do that, we used quite a few good nights out, team building days, poker nights, having just open communication, open Slack channels, tribal at demo hours and the like. I mean, today, they've started doing their own weightlifting, Olympic lifting challenge board thing where they've got other squads going and talking to each other. And what ultimately we're trying to do is just foster this culture of just open communication and getting each other to know, getting to know each other on a real personal level. Because I think if you know each other on a personal level, it makes it a lot easier when you do have to have those really technical, quality conversations. Amongst the football's coming home frenzy through summer, we somehow got to the point where we were struggling to temper this. The teams were doing what we wanted them to do. They were talking to each other. But at some point, work started to become secondary. Tickets were slowing down. The conversations were no longer the quality conversations that we once were having. And at some point, delivery also became secondary. We got complacent in our attitude to work, and we got complacent, and we lost accountability ultimately. As a delivery lead, this was really hard, especially when you feel like you're involved in it. I'm good friends with the people I work with. We all get along really well. And sometimes you've kind of got to take a step back. When you don't directly manage these people and on an line management basis, it's really difficult. I'd achieved what I'd set out to do in terms of creating this culture, this vibrant, chatty workplace where people actually enjoyed to come. But at the same time, it was becoming this beast that we simply couldn't tame. What we had to do was work as a support team. So work with Willie, work with the engineering manager, work with the BAs who are in there. And what we had to do was deliver kind of subliminal messages at stand-up and retrospectives and just day-to-day conversations, like just making sure people knew what the expectation was from them. And what we wanted to do, one thing that we did do, was allow them to start making mistakes. So up until this point, we were trying to cover for them. We were trying to make sure that, oh, guys, we do need to get this thing out. Have you forgot about A? Forgot about B? And what we did was we allowed them to make mistakes, and made them realise, oh yeah, I dropped the ball there. I shouldn't have done that. And over time, we've managed to temper this culture, and we kind of brought it back. And the key message from me, from culture, and wanting to create a place where people enjoy to go is, you've got to celebrate as a team, yes. But you've got to have the emotional intelligence as a team to understand that when you have to knuckle down and apply yourself, the play goes away for a couple of days or a couple of weeks. Come in, let's apply ourselves, and in 2-3 weeks' time, let's go out and enjoy our success and celebrate it. So that's culture.
Life has no deadlines. This is what this picture is about. So I think this is going to probably split the audience here. Agile has deadlines. I'm sure I've heard people say things like, if you're agile, you shouldn't have a deadline. If you've got gunshots, you're not agile. Unfortunately for SBG, I'm not sure whether this applies to everyone, but a lot of our campaigns and a lot of products that we release are tied to big £1 million spend on marketing budgets and TV campaigns that we simply cannot shift. So when the going gets tough, from the previous slide, sometimes it really bugs me. And that people are still going out on weekdays and drinking and heavily and coming the next day. It's been tempered, as Adam said, but there's still a mentality that we are engineers, we shouldn't really care about deadlines. That's a product, that's a delivery thing. So I'm just going to put this on you, Adam, as the ADL. What do you think? Yeah,
so we haven't cracked this, but as Willie alluded to, SBG is very commercially focused. It's very, very aware. I think we operate in a market where it's very competitive, and being first to market is often very advantageous. So deadlines is something as a team that we have to get comfortable with. I think for me, the only way we can operate in this business is if we as a team embrace the deadline, and rather than just get given a deadline, we actually own that deadline. Deadlines can no longer be seen as something that I own or Willie owns. It's got to be something that the squad owns. It can't be some mystery date that we're all just ambling towards and suddenly the thing will go live and customers will use it. So we're getting there. Like I say, it's a work in progress. Some of the things that we've done to get to this point is getting the squads involved much earlier on. So when Willie or whoever comes up with idea, let's actually involve the squad in the inception process. Let's get them involved to understand actually why are we doing this initiative? Why is it so important that we're first to market? Why is it important that we do these features? Also allowing them to be involved in the technical elaboration or the top level, high level design allows them to have control over those key technical decisions as well. So yeah, like I say, this is a work in progress. We're not there yet. There's some steps that we need to take to achieve this, but we're getting there.
Have you checked that Mark's wife is not in audience?
Yeah. So this next one is around getting closer to leadership. So I know, it's from your work day. One thing we noticed early on was sometimes decisions get made that you can't be in control of, or you can definitely influence, and some decisions you can't influence. And that's life. That's just part of working in a large organization. And what we needed to do as a product owner, delivery lead, but also as a support team around the promotion squad was to get closer to it. If you're closer to that problem, you can reduce that blast radius. So you can jump on that grenade straight away, and you can protect the team as much as possible. And sometimes it's not about acting like that thing's not happening to the team, but it's just giving the team just enough information as what's going on so they can understand, they can empathize with you, but at the same time as not getting them fully involved and embroiled into the situation. Along with that, what we also set up early on in the year was this concept of like a promotions tribal drop-in session. So every Friday morning, 9 till 10, it's kind of like an open door. It's like an open door for the gaming tech leadership team and other members on the gaming leadership team from marketing and product and whatnot to just come along to the promotions and just speak to us. And that was all we were trying to do. We were just trying to open up the communication. We wanted to know what they cared about. And I think at the same time, they want to know what we care about, and they want to know what we're struggling with and where they can help us. And ultimately, what he's built is this level of trust, I think, I hope, looking at Rob, who attends every Friday. And yeah, it's all about trust, two-way conversation, and at the same time, it's allowed us to have the autonomy to take the squads in the direction that we feel we can do. Yeah, so if anyone doesn't know this, TLC Waterfall is an absolute wobbler. So what this is all about is don't go chasing waterfalls, literally. So everyone's been on I hope everyone's been in a sprint whereby you get to day 6, 7, 8, and nothing's done. Everyone's panicking. Nothing is done. Then it hits day 8, day 9, you get in, and everything drops into the done column. And it's like, what just happened? Like, how do we go from having nothing done all week, for the best parts of 2 weeks, and everything's done at the same time? We looked at this problem. It was common across all 3 of the squads. And ultimately, what we had was we had very functionally siloed teams. So we had engineers who just implemented. We had implementers. We had testers, so it gets a test. They just test. It hit release, and there'd only be a few people who knew the actual release process for the squad. So what happened was we were just waterfalling our sprints. What we turned to was everybody owned every part of the pipeline. So no longer were we reliant on testers to do the testing. No longer were we reliant on specific engineers to just get stuff out to live. It was difficult, and it's a mindset shift that was difficult for some of the team to understand and grasp. But ultimately, the people who were earmarked as like these software engineers in test and the senior engineers, their role became less of the doing and more of a facilitating for the squad. So yeah, we no longer chase waterfalls.
That covers the 7 things that we learned, the top 7 things that we learned over the last 12 months. The next 4 things that we want to talk about is how do we go from here? Where do we go from here to take it to the next level? Number 1, data. So I'm not ashamed to say that we haven't been very good at actually being data-led. A lot of things that we do, prioritization, is based on gut feel, is based on market research, but we actually, believe it or not, have a big data warehouse. We've got all the data you can imagine under the sun, but we're just not leveraging enough of it. And over the last 12 months, SPG has gone through a shift on starting to see where we can explore opportunities to use the data that we've got in the warehouse. And that's one of the key things that we're going to focus on next.
The next key thing for the squads is the concept of identity. So as we alluded to at the start, we did the cereal box challenge with the squads in the very early days, which was in January. And that was the identity, that was to give them some sense of identity, but that was very much led from product. And the next step for us, for Identity V2, what that looks like is it looks like taking that vision, the purpose of why they exist, and taking that from Willie and making the squads own that themselves. And that's something that they are there to own and shape, and they feel like they're destined. They're in control of what their identity is. That's the next step for the squads. Become less reliant on product, become more as a unit as themselves. The next thing is time to market. So I don't know about anybody else, but we spend a lot of time optimizing that 2-week sprint. We spend a lot of time on it. We've got metrics coming out our backside of it. We look at it, we've spent a long time looking at our software delivery process. There's a lot that goes on to go from Willie's head or whoever's head before it hits that board, before it hits that 2-week sprint. What we need to start doing now is looking left and looking further up the pipeline and optimizing what that looks like. And the only way we're going to reduce time to market is by doing that and owning that as a squad.
The last one is ideation versus iteration. So SPG are very good at coming up with new ideas. We're always being pushed to come up with the next new shiny thing. But sometimes I feel over the last 12 months, we've almost neglected the iteration bit. So we would deliver a project and we said, we're done. But actually, in Agile, as everyone knows, we continue to evolve and we continue to iterate, almost to the point that we don't want our competitors to be able to catch up with us. And this is where I'm going to hopefully be able to focus a little bit more and look at, should we do ideation? Should we bring up a new shiny thing? Or should we actually improve what we've got? So brand new thing probably lasts for a short moment. A good product leaves a legacy.
Okay, so just to summarize, this is we feel is going to be the springboard. So these are the next 4 experiments we're going to try. We're going to try bring data closer to the squads, be more data informed with our decisions. We're going to bring the identity into the squad, and the squad's going to own that. We're going to focus on reducing that time to market and looking at taking a step back from the 2-week sprint. And then we're going to look at ideation versus iteration and just make sure we are actually working on the right things. And that's it.
Thank you.